Hello and welcome to the Weave the Story podcast. I'm your host, Carter Callender, a former president now serving as the Media Archives Chair. The Media Archives Chair in our PR department is excited to share our revitalized focus on history. Now, obviously, all of you listening know that through our emphasis on the Weave the Story campaign, as this is just another addition to that. The Weave the Story campaign is focused on sharing stories of clubbers past and present so that we can get a better understanding of the tradition of excellence and the tradition of brotherhood that we all went through and came out of different. We're really excited to be able to share this opportunity with you and share all of our experiences through this format. Today's guest is going to be George Beverley. He was the first chair of the Alumni Board, the first recipient of the Scott Alexander Award, and the first recipient of the Kevin Keithy Spirit of Tradition Award. To that list of firsts, he's adding the first guest to this podcast. Now, we had a great discussion with George today. Talked about a lot of his experiences in club, his experiences being the first to do a lot of things in club as well, his experience joining, what his favorite things to do in Oxford are, and of course, a lovely segment at the end where we tested his history knowledge and added a couple fun questions in there. Otherwise, I hope you enjoy this experience. I know I did. I had a lovely conversation with George, and I don't want to keep you from it. So without further ado, our very first guest, George Beverley. Welcome to the podcast, George Beverley, the very first podcast of Weave the Story.
Thank you, Carter. I appreciate that. And I'm going to tell you that your father is very proud of you. You are carrying on a dynasty of club presidents. He was president back in the 90s, and you were president just last year.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. I really do appreciate that. And of course, you have plenty of accomplishments yourself. You are a member of the class of 1970. And that was the same year that you became the inaugural recipient of the Scott Alexander Award. And so you are the first holder of that award.
Actually, it was 1969.
69. I apologize. Yes.
Yeah. So that's right. And so, yeah, all these firsts, a very pleasant serendipity, I would say.
Right. And then about 40 some odd years later, you became the very first president of the alumni board, and started that wonderful tradition, which of course has done a lot for club. And I guess we're just about to hit its 10th year of existence. And then, we come to sort of present day, almost 10 years after you became the first chair of the alumni board, and you are also the inaugural recipient of the Kevin Keithy Spirit of Tradition Award, which just for those especially listening who are unaware of the award or need a refresher on its description, the Kevin Keithy Spirit of Tradition Award is given out every 3 years or at every alumni reunion, pandemic, pending. And it is given to a alumni who has dedicated their efforts to weave the story in club, to document history, to foster connections between alumni and current clubbers, and foster admiration for the history and tradition of club in newer generations, as well as displays a continued and demonstrated engagement with club through all the years. And of course, helping out with being in all of those alumni advisory meetings and helping Michael Baer, who was the chair of the sort of exploratory committee to create that award. There was, I think, no other obvious recipient besides yourself to start it off, and really starting. You started with the Scott Alexander Award, and you really never left. And I think that speaks to why you were chosen as the inaugural recipient for that award, because you really just were able to continue and carry that. But I sort of wanted to start with what that award meant to you. Obviously, you were surprised. If you go back on that live stream, your reaction to getting that award during alumni reunion was phenomenal. But what was your reaction to being the first person to receive that award in honor of Kevin?
Well, actually, Carter, I was stunned. I was greatly honored. I felt the same way as I did 50 years ago when I got the Scott Alexander Award. You know, why me? And what can I do to deserve this in the future? And what did I do that, all these firsts? It's just unbelievable. But I appreciate all of my friends and brothers in song who have who I've gotten to know, and that's an important thing. Kevin Keithy was that's the name of the award, Kevin Keithy in Spirit of Tradition. And Kevin, just his nature, he was a history major, so he had a lot of knowledge about the Glee Club. And when he first came to Oxford back in the late '90s, he really started to just voraciously read about all of our reunions and the actual first members, the alpha members of the Glee Club. He even memorized their names, and he would point out pictures from old pictures, the old daguerreotypes of that is this person, that is this person. So he had this great love of history. And then secondly, which is another great loss for our group, is his ability to infuse excitement within a crowd of varying generations, being able to contact and communicate, knowing vernacular, knowing what's the best word to use to a 20-year-old or to an old fogey like me, who is I'm 10 years older, not even 10 years older than Kevin, but he had that ability. So I'll let you talk.
The whole point of this is to have you talk.
Okay.
Well, so continue along that road. I think one of the notable things, especially this year, was after Kevin had passed, his family very graciously gave a treasure trove of club memorabilia and just a bunch of items that are pertinent to history that have likely never seen the light of day, that now club has begun to start archiving and going through. And you were one of those, the first sort of alumni to say you wanted to help out with that project. So what has that experience sort of been, especially doing that before receiving this award, and Kevin really being tied into a lot of this year? What was the experience like going through a lot of the old stuff that he had, being able to relive some of your memories and all of that stuff?
Well, to be truthful, I didn't know what I was getting into. I told Dr. Jones, sure. And then I find all these boxes of treasures that we are going through. John Clover and I, of course, have been going through them. And we took a break after the students left, and we've got to get back to it. It will take a long time. And what our goal is to submit it to an archivist here at Miami University and be able to have it, preserved and cataloged. And so there's a lot to that. We've got to separate the posters from the snapshots of just casual encounters of different clubbers. And I've gotten, it was great during the reunion that we had little Post-it notes. And if anybody wanted to identify a person in a picture, they would write that person's name on and tack it to the picture. And that adds an awful lot of provenance, as we say, to what decade was that? What were they talking about? And just all sorts of these wonderful anecdotes that we would hear. And I must say, the reunion was just phenomenal. It was so great to see so many of the current clubbers came in and talked and got to know some of the alumni. And I've gotten a lot of feedback about that too. Yeah, it's an ongoing process. It'll probably take a year to archive all of the my goodness, not only pictures, but Kevin's, which I haven't gotten really into yet, but his notes that are longhand, and I don't know what we're going to do with all that, but he has a wealth of information. He also had a website on,
Right.
so we've preserved that, and we have that. We have floppy disks. we have all the different formats, and finding players for these things is going to be a challenge. But
Mhm.
that's what the archivist is going to be faced with, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, yeah. So all of that is it, it's exciting to hear. It also, goes to show that part of why you deserve that award is your dedication to doing whatever Dr. Jones asked you to do at this point. But as well with Kevin, I mean, you got to sort of see him come into club and blossom into the absolute encyclopedia that he was of knowledge and of emotion and of anything, to be able to connect with any one person in club. And there were so many just anecdotes that have especially come out in the past year or so of well, this was just this like weird moment where this weird old guy came up behind me and he smelt of old crow and he said the most inspiring quote that I will ever hear in my life, and then he walked away and went to go yell at some other guys. And so I like it, there is just this perfect sort of continuation of this myth that was Kevin Keithy. And so I wanted to ask you what your favorite moment was with Kevin, what your favorite memory was of him, experience, just anything about Kevin.
Well, when I think of Kevin, I think, first of all, let me clarify. I was not here in Oxford during the late 90s. I would come back every 3 years
Mhm.
for reunions. And that's when his personality, he just struck me like, here's a person that really is interested in club and wants to know all about it. I think of Kevin and I think of the clubhouse and his loving care of that house and making sure that it was occupied. And I hope it continues this way, that it is occupied by clubbers
Mhm.
throughout. It's a place of gathering, and that's really neat that they're not only singers, but they are members of a club where they can talk to each other about their problems, and just kind of like one of the guys, current guys, said, well, this is my fraternity,
Right.
it's where I go and like Cheers, where
Mhm.
you have your friends. So anyway, I think of Kevin and his great dedication to the house and his landscaping. He would spend hours and getting that yard in shape for different events, like after a concert, come over to the clubhouse. He built this very intricate bonfire setting with all the bricks in the big
Mhm.
circle and putting all the chairs out and all the gardens and the Michael Bear pansy patch and just all these wonderful reminiscences. It shows the sense of
Mhm.
humor of Kevin.
Yeah, it absolutely does. That's yeah, I that is a perfect encapsulation of his character, just throughout the years. And that really was who he was. And
And singing around the bonfire was
right.
very important, just not throwing caution to the wind and
Mhm.
having different words to different songs. I mean, you were having great fun out there, and I enjoyed being part of it too. Uh, as long as it wasn't after midnight, which was. So anyway, yes,
Mhm.
you're in your 20s and you're full of energy. That kind of changes as you age, and just don't get old, okay? Don't
I'll
get
try. I will try my best. Well, so being an alumni of club, you obviously came into to Miami and to Oxford, and so this is sort of a double-edged question.
old.
Both, what was the thing that brought you to Miami, and what was the thing that brought you into Glee Club, and as well, because you spent so many years here and because you are now spending even more years here, what is your favorite spot in Oxford? So we'll start with what you got you into club, and then we'll go into your
Okay.
favorite spot of Oxford.
Well, my getting into club I was a piano major, and Dr. Wabrick had just taken on the reins of the Glee Club, and he had one senior who was graduating who played the piano, and he just put out on all points, would somebody be interested in taking over? So I joined in my junior 1968, and so I started playing piano, and that whole idea of I didn't know what I was really getting into. Accompany the club. But then there was such an outpouring of love and getting to know you and oh, what's your background? What's going on? And I was just floored because I didn't feel like that was, I thought it was a job that I would be just coming in and playing the accompaniments and going home, and that didn't work out. And that just started a spark. And you know, as so many of the other people say, is just a highlight of my collegiate experience till 1970. So just a short 2-year period, but it then blossomed forth into many years of being an alumnus and continuing my association with the club. Now, you asked my favorite spots.
Yes.
Now, do you mean my favorite spots when I was in school? Okay, since you asked that, I would say Alan Larry's. Alan Larry's, you don't know where that is.
No, no, I do not.
It's at the corner of Poplar and High Street. It's across the street from the Brick, and it's a vacant building. It took on a lot of different names, but when I was here in Oxford back in the 60s, it was Alan Larry's that I really liked. And the second floor was full of the pinball machines. And yeah, that was a lot of fun, having the pinball machines up there, and then the peanut shells on the floor. And yeah, so you can imagine that peanuts were very popular up there. And of course, to wash down those peanuts, you had to have certain liquid refreshment. And so,
of course,
those were my fond memories of my favorite spot in Oxford. Now, academically, it would have to be Benton Hall, AKA Hall Auditorium, okay? Because that is the birthplace of the Glee Club back in 1907. And if you're under the age of 50, you do not remember how things were inside Hall Auditorium before the renovation of 1992. So let me describe what it looked like back then. You go in the main doors and you are greeted by the huge statue of George Washington, which is now over in Alumni Hall, the home of the architecture department. So you've seen the statue, but it was in the lobby of Hall Auditorium of Benton Hall. So the green room was not during my time, but prior. It used to be the president of the university's office. He would be right there. So Guy Potter Benton had his desk in the green room there in 1907. Okay, and that's why it was called Benton Hall, I'm sure. So named after the president.
Right.
And then, okay, back to the late 60s. You go into the lobby, and then you go into the auditorium, and there are these 2 stairways on either side that take you up to the balcony. Creaky wood steps, okay? And there was another stairway outside in the lobby that you could go up. But we were cautioned, do not, if you go in there and you're looking for a seat and the performance is already going on, do not go up those stairs, because you know what's going to happen? Everyone in the audience is going to crank their head to see who's going up those creaky steps and remember who you are. Okay. Now, the balcony itself was a horseshoe. I mean, the balcony extended all the way to the curtain line. It was a true horseshoe. And we would open the windows in the summertime. It was unair conditioned. So you can imagine how hot that auditorium was in the summertime. So you would hear the beta bells announcing the quarter hour during the concerts, keep you on time. And then you'd hear an occasional train whistle. It would be always coming through Oxford at the most inopportune times when it's nice and soft music and you hear, okay. So we had that, and then there was a center aisle in the auditorium. No European seating like came the
Right. Yeah.
vogue back at the turn of this century. So you had the aisle, and it was kind of the wood seats. I remember those wood seats, and no cushioning. So it's been a great improvement, that remodeling. You can just imagine the if
Yeah.
you just haven't experienced that. Okay, then nowadays my most favorite spot in Oxford is where I'm living right now, the
Oh,
Knowles.
perfect. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place. I don't have to worry about getting out there in the heat and mowing the grass. Winter, I don't have to worry about snow removal. And there's so many activities, and there's a bus that gets me over to the university for sporting events, for concerts. It's just great, and I recommend it to some of our alumni who might be interested in thinking about retiring to a college town.
Yeah.
It keeps you young. I mean, talking with you, Carter. Okay,
I'm sure. Yeah.
learning the vernacular, learning what's the current buzzword, and oh snap. Okay, stuff like that. All right, carrying around you.
Of course. Yeah.
Okay, so that's my answer.
That's a phenomenal answer. I
Well,
really like that. I enjoy that. Well, that's no, that is perfect. And I can tell you that's, I have always sort of wondered about what the identity of Oxford was back in the 60s, back in the 80s, 90s, how it has evolved. And I think that certainly gives a little bit of a view of what life was like.
and your father can fill you in too.
Oh, I'm sure. We'll see how hesitant he is to do that. As well, coming into club, it is a fascinating experience, and certainly your track is not as common as others of coming in as a junior accompanist, and so really coming in as a new guy, and sort of having that experience of walking into club, and over the course of that first year having all of those sort of traditions and mysteries unraveled slowly in front of your eyes. What was the one thing that you wish you knew as a new guy, or would like to suggest for someone to reflect on as they become a new guy and as they enter into club?
Well, be positive about the experience. Don't just say, "Oh, I did that first day did not go well, and that was too hard for me. I don't have the time to learn it." And you're just not opening yourself up to a new experience. And that's true with life. I mean, just do not just put your big toe in and
Right.
see what the temperature is. If you make a commitment, just live with it for a while and just see where it takes you. And when you're young and in your 20s, if you make a mistake about your career or your major, you have time. There's time for a reset. Have to retool. Man, I would have to retool if I had to back to the workforce. Man, I mean, with all the computer technology, I'm getting off track. So.
No, that is a perfect way to sort of let new guys know what they can be expecting
Yeah,
of coming in.
just, be ready to
Right.
embrace it and enjoy the experience. There's certain things that we all experience, like tour. We go on tour. That is really a wonderful experience. And then the trips to Europe, my gosh, it's really, you guys have really been fortunate, and these latest trips, like to the Rome and
Right. Yeah.
to St. Peter's and the Vatican, and it's just wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah.
We went to Europe a few times, but my feelings were just having tour, and there was one experience when we were on tour up in Port Clinton, up on Lake Erie, and in our repertoire there was a song that's called "There's a Ring Ting-a-Ling to the Name of Rosie." Okay, and it was a pop song, and
Mhm.
we had a great time singing it. Well, it came to our attention after the concert because we heard a lot of laughter and unexpected enjoyment
Right. Yeah.
about Rosie. Well, it turns out that Rosie was a woman of ill repute, shall we say, and she had a little a brothel in Port Huron. And we happened to it was 20-year-old guys singing the praises of Rosie.
Yeah.
It was something I will never forget.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm sure that that was well received.
You could say that.
All right. Well, sort of transitioning from that note, um, we're going to move into our final segment, which is our rapid roundup. You have 90 seconds, are going to have 90 seconds on the clock.
The lightning round?
A lightning round. Exactly. You're going to
Oh,
have 90 seconds on the clock. We have about 25, 30 questions prepared.
oh man.
You are going to have, you don't have to get through all of them. We're going to see how many you can get through, and we're going to see how many you can get right. About half of these are opinion questions, and about half of them,
In order to get more questions?
if you would like to pass, you can pass, but I'm going to mark that against you.
Or
I-
take them- Okay.
So some of these are going to be history questions. They're going to have an actual answer. Some of them are going to be entirely opinionated, and I want to give you
Embarrass myself. Oh my. Okay.
your immediate opinion. I promise you're going to be fine. So we're going to start. I'm going to count us down from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then we're going to start with the first question. Are you ready?
I think so.
Okay. In 5, 4, 3, 2. Who was the director while you were a member of Glee Club?
John Welber,
All right. Who is the current director of the Miami Men's Glee Club?
Jeremy Jones,
Exactly. Who is the latest recipient of the Scott Alexander Award?
Caleb Ord. No. Oh no. It just happened 2 months ago. I'm sorry, whoever you are. It was
His name starts with a B.
Brandon Arnold.
Yes. Who is the first recipient of the Scott Alexander Award?
Moi.
Exactly. What part did you sing in Club?
Bass.
And besides your own, what is the best part in Club?
Bass.
And what is the worst singing part in Club?
The worst part. The baritones, they get the jump.
Okay. See, that's not okay. If you were stuck on a deserted island with all of the directors in your lifetime, that being Wabrick, Parr, Nash, Sperry, and Jones, who would you prefer to be stuck on a deserted island with?
Well, I'd have to go with John Welber.
All right. Well, that absolutely works. What structure that has since been torn down is the presidential brick from?
The railroad station, the train station.
Absolutely. What is your favorite song that you sang while you were in Club? You have 15 seconds.
The one with Bobby Goldwater. Dame, that's always fun.
The next question is, who always gets the solo in Nothing Like a Dame?
Bobby Goldwater.
Perfect. And that's time.
Okay.
Thank you so much. You got through about, I think about 10 or 15 questions, and you got them all right, which is pretty good. So we're
another 15 ready to go.
Oh, yes, we did. We'll get to that for our next guest, which actually, so I've got 3 final questions for you. First, when we get back to Oxford, that being myself and Jack, who is the producer of this show, we're going to have a plaque that is going to just notate all of the guests who have been on the Weave the Story podcast. So first, will you be the first person to sign that plaque?
Yes, of course. I'll be honored to do that.
Perfect. You'll be the first in another thing. Secondly, a message to all of our current alumni, especially as the most recent and first recipient of the Spirit of Tradition Award. What is your message to our current alumni who are watching this, and what is your note of inspiration for them of how they can be a better member, or I guess member of the alumni of the Miami Men's Glee Club?
Well, I'll just have to go back to what I said on the spot there on the stage when you presented me this award. I always remember the 3 T's, and the first T is time. Devoting your time to the club, coming to reunions, supporting the club when they are on tour, go and visit with them. Homestays, if you can put up some of them, that'd be great. Giving them some time. The next is talent.
Mhm.
Talent. We have the mentorship program that Lee Shepard has wonderfully crafted, and he tries to pair you up with, according to your talents, according to your major, according to your profession. We have professional doctors, and we have some young medical students here. I was trying to pair up Robert Poth with the president of 1969, and his name is Senior Moment. But anyway, that didn't work out. But of course,
Right.
there's doctors, lawyers, accountants, business people. So that would be great if you could give some time to some of the current members. And of course, finally, treasure. There are so many different funds that you can contribute to. Move in Miami is coming up in August next month, and it would be a perfect time for you to send some bucks the Glee Club's way. If you've never done it before, it's very simple. We keep a roster and we send you a special personalized thank you from the old guys, even to the young guys. We'll send you along a thank you note. And it's very much appreciated. And you can tell how well it's used for tuxedos. We now have white tie and tails. Those aren't cheap. And so the New Guy Fund that will help you along the way to be able to be dressed up. And then we have the John Wabrick composition. He's commissioned over 15, 16, 17 compositions over this short period of time of maybe 5, 6 years.
Right.
So that fund is going well. And then there are scholarships that you can contribute to. The Director's Fund, which is Dr. Jones's avenue of helping some of the so that's it in a very large nutshell. Okay.
A very large nutshell. It works. It is perfect. And so our final question for you here: who should be the next guest of Weave the Story?
There's so many people. Maybe another old guy, a guy who's just a little bit older than I am.
All right.
Dudley. He's
all right.
And he's also a Scott Alexander recipient. And I could give alternates too, but
well, we'll stick with that answer.
Okay.
And we will move forward. Well, I thank you so much for joining us today, George. I really do appreciate especially all that you have given to club. And it is only right that as the first chair of the alumni board, the first Scott Alexander recipient, the first Kevin Keithy Spirit of Tradition recipient, you are the first guest on our podcast. So thank you so much for doing this. We really appreciate it, and we really appreciate you being one of the premier examples of how to be an alumni of club.
Well, thank you. I've enjoyed it, and I hope I'm with you for the 125th. I'll be 84 then. I hope I'm making it.
And you will, and we will see you there.
All right.
All right, perfect. Well,
thanks, Carter.
Thank you so much for joining us. That is it for us at Weave the Story.